Hello, everyone. This is a special edition of Parker X that we're calling Parker X After Hours. Calling it After Hours because we recorded this while we were at the trade show at Pi, and this was done well after trade show hours and actually well after dinner and a few drinks as well. So we had a good time, and I was joined by Michael Warren and Dylan Prep, two young guns in the parking industry. They're both working on parking guidance systems, and they're doing a good job, and they've got some good energy about them. We kind of got into different topics, what they're excited about, trends that they're seeing, what they think of the industry in general, and kind of where they think it's going. Hope you enjoy. My name is Lester Mascon, and this is Parker X. And today we are with...
I'm Dylan Prep. I'm the Regional Sales Director for Parking Guidance Systems.
And Michael Warren, Florida Sales Director of Parking Guidance Systems.
Nice. So you live in Florida?
Not yet. Come May, I'll be moving down to South Florida.
Nice.
Yeah.
South Florida.
South Florida.
Nice.
Young bachelor, I was like, you cannot move to Orlando.
Oh,
I think that Miami is kind of the move for you.
Yeah. Near the beach.
So I used to live in Florida, man. It's a cool place.
I'm excited about it. I've only visited, and I haven't been in South Florida for longer than like a weekend at a time, so I'm excited about
South
getting down
Florida's
there.
a good time.
Where were you at in Florida?
I was in Lake Mary.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I've been there several times. North of Orlando.
Yeah, so
east of Orlando.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
is what
kind
it
of.
actually
Right.
is.
It's out towards the East Coast side of it.
Right.
Hang out in New Smyrna a lot. That's like the locals hang out.
If you got any tips for my man, just please forward them over to him.
Spots I need to hit and whatnot.
It's a great diving spot. So
Is it really?
Yeah. Do you like mountains? You're from Texas. You don't even know what a mountain is.
But I do love the mountains because Colorado. We go to Colorado a lot, ski and whatnot.
Well,
So
get used to not seeing them in Florida.
yeah. I was like, I don't think there's any mountains.
Water ski.
You know what? I think the biggest mountain in Florida was the landfill.
No joke.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm curious. You guys are both kind of fresh to the parking industry.
Yeah, brand new.
There's a lot of old school thought going on in the parking industry. So how long have you been doing this?
So I was with a public accounting firm doing tax consulting just last year, actually.
That sounds awful.
Oh, my gosh. You want to talk about awful. I mean, long hours. You're not given a lot of opportunity, at least at the associate level, to really flex exactly what you got in the industry for. So you're not able to use much creativity. You're much more of a cog in the wheel kind of deal.
Got it.
It just wasn't something that I envisioned doing long term. I looked at what everybody was doing above me, and it didn't really fit what I had worked so hard for so long. But I actually know Derek France very well. He's a good family friend, and myself.
Who's Derek France?
Derek France, my apologies. He's our VP of Business Development. So he runs Parking Guidance Systems, and we're a reseller of Indec Technology. So Derek pulled me in aside. We were working out one day, and he was like, man, look, you do not look happy. I think that I could use you on my team. What do you think? And I was like, you know what? I'm young, and I'm energetic, and I think that this is something that I can have a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
So that was back in August of 2018.
Shit, it's not even a year.
No.
Shit.
Wow.
I'm 2 months, man. January.
Really?
Yeah, or 3 months almost.
So
January.
So what do you think of the industry so far? I mean, like fresh perspective. How old are you?
So I'm 25.
Oh, okay, shit. So you're young.
I'm a young buck.
Yeah.
I'm young and hungry. So, want to try to make as much money as possible and have a lot of fun doing it. And, so far just being in the industry, you kind of mentioned earlier that we're some young guns and there's a lot of older thought in the industry. And I think that's been my biggest takeaway from everything so far is that, I am young and there are a lot of people with a ton of experience in the industry. So my biggest adjustment that I had to make is that, you know what, man, I just probably need to keep my mouth closed most of the time and just listen more than I talk. And that's something that I've tried to focus on.
I mean, it's a good strategy for the first few years, just sit and kind of listen and take it all in.
Yeah.
But like, what surprised you the most? Like, what are you like shocked about the most? What do you?
Dude, all the different
No, you can continue.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
different alleyways that's involved within the parking industry, like coming from not knowing anything about it to kind of full on, full go, getting dropped and kind of on the run and learning from it. There's so many different players and how it all ties in together. It's super interesting, at least to me.
So give us a little bit of your background. So how you've been doing this for how long?
Yeah, 2 months. So
2
January
months.
7th was my first day.
Nice, 8 weeks.
Yeah, so Florida Parking Show, December was my first taste
Nice.
of parking. I was actually in education. So I was a teacher and a coach for 3 years prior.
What grade?
High school, I taught
Okay.
Algebra 2, so your junior, sophomore, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you realize the dumb crap you did and how dumb you may have been in
For
high
as much
school.
as you drank tonight, I'm like a school teacher. I'm like
You know
concerned.
what I'm saying? Right, that's what I'm saying. So, but no, yeah, I was ready for something new.
Okay.
And kind of same thing. I've known Dylan for a long time and met Derek through Dylan, and Derek brought this opportunity and was like, "Hey, you're gonna have to move to Florida."
So like you quit the
Yeah, I told
being
him.
a teacher
and
and
a
decided
coach.
to go.
I told him, I was like, "Look, I've got an opportunity, and I'm young, not tied up with wife or kids or anything. So if I'm gonna do it, no, it's time
like
to do
middle of the school year and
it."
everything.
Yeah, December. I told him.
Yeah, that pisses
Yeah.
people off, I would think.
Yeah, I felt you feel bad for the kids more than
Sure.
anything. The teachers and everything will get over it, but yeah, so full go. I'm enjoying it so far. Learned a lot. So
What's I mean, you were talking about it a little bit. What surprised you the most about this?
like I said, just not knowing first off how much money is involved in this industry. You know, I think we always say parking's not a problem until
Anybody who wants to talk about it,
Right,
there is
you
none.
know, there
when
is
there's,
none.
When there's no parking, that's when people talk about
Yeah.
I
it.
think
So.
most things aren't a problem until there's a problem.
right,
Yeah.
but still, you know what I mean. Parking especially. So
Sure.
it's been kind of interesting to see.
So where do you live now?
Right now I'm in Houston. Yeah,
Okay.
we're based out of Houston. So
Married, kids?
none.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So you're just moving to South Florida.
Moved to-
Just
darn right.
I know it's a bad place.
But yeah, so super excited and kind of like Dylan said, just picking people's brains because we're new to it. Don't have a lot of ties to it prior to. So
I'd say you've stumbled into a pretty good group of people.
absolutely, and everybody, parking guidance and everybody that we've met through the parking industry so far has been really open to ask questions like, what do you need to know? What do you want to know?
Sure.
And no problem introducing us to people. So it's been really, really smooth transition so far.
Yeah, and a question for you, Lester, I guess, is just, I think that almost every single person that we've met until we've gotten to this date, they've said one thing and one thing only. They've said, "Oh, how'd you get into the parking industry?" Give them a quick spiel. And they're like, "Well, you're never getting out of it." So what is that about? Why is everybody staying in the parking industry so long?
You know what's interesting is there's a lot of different aspects to it. Like you've noticed it, right? So
Right.
there's so many different ways.
Avenues, yeah.
Like I mean, you're in one of the industries too. I mean, you guys are providing parking guidance products. It's not like a direct revenue tie. I mean, at some point it may, you're flirting with it, whatever. But it's not like the direct revenue tie. It's really a time savings, friction reducing
Enhancement,
service
yeah.
or enhancement to what's going on out there. So there's so many different places you can go in it. I wouldn't even say it's a large industry, but I don't know, man. I started in parking too, like 16 years ago, and all of a sudden, it was really, really. I felt like I was providing so much value to that industry, and it was constantly reinventing itself. It was constantly moving forward, even though maybe behind from most people's standards. But there's lots of opportunity in it, and once you jump in, you're gonna find ways to provide opportunity. Maybe it's not always at parking guidance systems, or maybe it's not always parking guidance. You're going to learn more from your clients about what you can do, and somebody's going to want to help you monetize what you learn over that period of time. So people do tend to stay in it.
Yeah, it's cool. And I mean, it's not going anywhere, and I think that
There's a lot of different discussions about that, right? Like what happens, driverless cars, this, that, and
That's
the
so
other.
far
But
away.
I think it's farther away than people think.
The number one purchase car in America, do you know?
Ford F-150.
People who drive
No.
Ford F-150s are not going
they
autonomous
want that
anytime
gas
soon,
in that
I'm
tank.
telling you.
Yeah.
That's the number one
exactly.
car in the world.
World, too.
Yeah.
I'm saying America, it is
Yeah.
the world, so.
I hate Fords.
Built Ford tough.
I mean, I don't have one way or preference one way or another, but just the fact that is the number one purchase car in the world is kind of mind blowing.
Well, it's also so funny to me because Michael and I are both relatively young in the industry compared to a lot of the others, and I think that everybody keeps talking about automation. What's next? What's next? And we're slightly bullish on that whole entire concept. And I think
I
that
think
comes
so
out.
too, 100%.
Yeah,
So I mean, the things
absolutely.
that you think about, everything going on in the world today, anything you can find that saves you time and effort is the things that you gravitate to. So when was the last time you had to handwrite like a page of information?
It's
And
what
how
I'm-
irritated were you while you were doing it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
I don't even
I-
know if I can write cursive anymore.
I'm telling you, right? Like,
yeah, no, my penmanship is
but,
far
but
from
those
where it
things,
needs to
like
be.
the reason we use
It's this-
emojis,
Yep.
It's this
right?
era.
The thumbs up on the freaking response to like 90% of your shit is because
To
it was
acknowledge.
way easier than just typing thank you or whatever it was.
Completely
Right.
agree.
Absolutely.
So anything that, like my opinion is anything that, I used to have this concept that anything that reduced friction would win in everything.
Yeah. Anything that's more instant,
Well, and I think what it really comes down to is anything that saves time. So I have an Alexa in my house, right?
You got your lights plugged up to it?
Yeah, like everything.
Why not?
Yeah, it's
like,
easy.
Like what, if I set an alarm in the morning, I don't freaking grip my phone out and set the alarm. I tell Alexa to wake me up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or
Every
whatever it
night,
is.
Alexa gets a little message from Lester and says, "Hey, Alexa, I need you to wake me up at so and so time."
6 or yeah,
Whatever
whatever
it
it
is
is,
that
right?
day.
Yeah.
That day, right? Like when I'm sitting when I'm in the living room and we're in the kitchen cooking or something, you gotta set like a kitchen timer. It's like, hey, set a timer for 15 minutes. It's all those things, right?
That's
and
great.
you never thought that walking over to the microwave and setting a timer was that big of
Right.
a deal? But guess what?
Hands free, the whole nine.
Well, now I can do things almost passively. So when I'm cooking on the Traeger, and I come sit down and watch 10 minutes of whatever sports I'm watching or whatever, and I just kind of holler out and go, hey, set a timer for 10 minutes. I need to go flip the steaks in 10 minutes or whatever it is. So I think anything that saves you time, and parking guidance, which you guys are doing,
Absolutely. Yeah.
saves people a massive amount of time. And they almost prefer to go to a facility that has something like that because they're not looking. They're just following the signs.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And I think something that's extremely underrated about the technology that's out there for parking guidance. There's a ton of different vendors out there, and they all do a great job. But I think something that's extremely underrated is all the data that you're able to get through the system itself. Not only are you able to enhance that customer experience and stuff to get brand loyalty, you want people to come back to your facility, but
So what data is valuable that if I owned a parking facility
Just how your
that I'm getting?
garage overall is being utilized, right? Unfortunately, at 80% occupancy, people believe that their garage is full. Let us help, fill that garage up 100% and get your full usage.
So we worked with a city that actually had an attendant counting spaces.
All right.
The attendant never counted the spaces.
Never. And
What he did was he waited for somebody to complain that they could not find a parking space. And the minute that happened, he stuck a lot full sign out in front of the building.
exactly.
And then he just left it out there for like 1 to 2 to 3 hours.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
pull it in,
and
you
that's
know?
and that's at the end of the day, this is business, and what we're looking to do as a lot of corporations is to maximize revenue, and there's a lot of missed opportunities to make revenue in all different sorts of realms of the parking industry. And when you're able to look at how your facility is being used on a day-to-day basis, and for example, just say you have a couple of spaces allocated for an office tenant at one of your facilities, and you see that they're only using 75% of what they said they were going to use or said that they were going to need, you can open those spaces up to transient revenue every day, and that's just another opportunity to oversell that garage on a day-to-day basis and maximize it.
Do you guys know what it costs to build
One
a parking
space.
facility?
It depends what state, but like roughly $18,000.
Yeah,
25 and some.
That's really low. So that's above ground.
Right. And
Below ground
it-
structures,
it's
like
exponential.
45,000
Yeah,
or
it's
something
exponential. Yeah.
It's a huge cost, and a guidance system. As I said earlier, there's a ton
More
of
of an asset management system, right? So think about it. It's
Absolutely.
guidance. That's like
Right.
that's like the surface level value that gets offered to the public, that they actually see the value in what they're offering. But for you as a building owner or as an asset manager or whatever, it really is a asset management system for something they paid $45,000 per space for.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that the incremental cost of putting in a guidance system in a facility compared to, as you said, the construction cost
It's been a
is
few $100 per
It's a
space.
drop in the
for something you
bucket,
pay
man. It's a drop in the
$45,000 or
bucket.
$20,000 for, whatever it is.
yeah, and it's easy to sell because it just brings so many different benefits to not only your visitors but also to the asset manager itself. And every time someone makes an investment, they're trying to make money on that investment.
Listen, I'm a huge believer in anything that saves time, makes more money.
Yeah.
I think
Shout out
guidance-
Alexa.
Yeah. But I think guidance checks all the boxes
Yeah,
every single time.
I agree completely. And, I think that's one reason both Michael and I were completely willing and able to jump from our previous career path and get into what we're doing now.
So what kind of success have you guys had since you started?
Well, just being new to, I mean, like you said, 8 weeks in.
You haven't sold anything yet?
Well, no, I actually,
Gotta sell.
yeah. So I actually have, yeah. So
Tell
I
me
set
about
up my first meeting with the developer in Orlando, and
Nice.
a lot of people just don't know
Which building?
It's called Town Park
Okay.
Commons. So we're still in the
Where's it at?
works. It's actually Lake Mary. That's where my meeting
Oh,
was. Yeah,
nice.
that's why I
Okay,
was like when
all
you
right.
said it popped off. So we're still in the works with them, but it's been my first kind of hands-on experience since I've joined the industry.
Okay.
So I'm super excited about it and keeping in contact with them. But a lot of people just don't know the capabilities of it. You know, they know the green and red lights. You know, like you said, the aesthetics of it all, but
Sure.
they don't know
It's
the
all
data.
surface level at that point.
Right. You know, so at a higher
Yeah.
level, what can this actually do for me? So getting
So
in
listen,
front
if
of
you're
them.
going to be in Lake Mary, there's a town called Sanford.
Yeah, Sanford, they have an airport.
Yeah, the little one.
Yeah, a little one.
There's a racetrack there too, dog racetrack. And that's where
Okay.
Larry the Cable Guy is from.
Really?
Yeah, so but the best part is the 1792 flea market.
Okay, elaborate on this. What goes down
it's
here?
like they call it a flea market, but it's like there's a bunch of people camped out there. Like they've
Living?
got like little stores,
Okay, cool.
like inside this like dirt mall, right? Like literally tables and stuff like that. So you got to go check it out.
All right, I will.
Yeah, they serve alcohol and stuff. You
Oh,
walk
so it's a good
around.
time.
Yeah, it's
Good
a good
time.
time.
It's an
Mike's
experience.
gonna have a lot of free times in his hand in Florida. He doesn't
So-
have much to do out there yet besides
Yeah,
sell, so
man.
he needs all the
It's called
activities
Flea
he can
World.
Flea World.
The 1792 flea market.
1792.
So it's Highway 17 and 92 are together
Okay.
at this point. So hence the 17.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be back out there. So next time I'm out there, I'll definitely
Go to
make sure.
Sanford,
Yeah, and
go
I'll
to
have
Flea
to. I'll
World.
let you know. I'll have to give you a review.
That's good.
Tell Alexa to put it in your schedule.
Yeah, Alexa. Can you go
Perfect.
First weekend out in Florida, we're hitting the flea world.
So tell me about you've been a little longer. I mean, have you
Yeah,
had the
yeah.
success that he has?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
if I
come on
could
now.
only measure.
So what have you done lately?
Yeah, so I've done a couple of cool things, and something that I think that's very interesting about is I've hit several different sectors. So we have a very prominent grocery store that's in Houston.
What's it called?
It's actually
Texas,
it serves
actually.
Texas only. It's called HEB Texas Grocery,
All right.
and they're
Not like
put
a Publix or anything, right?
the freshest. The
Yeah.
freshest.
All right.
Yeah.
But HEB is they're pushing towards moving into more cities instead of the burbs, and they're doing parking facilities. And actually, something that we were able to do that's really cool is they have a curbside pickup. So we do
Nice.
yeah. So we do we put sensors over their curbside pickups so that their staff knows when people arrive. And that's a interesting part about the technology that no one knew.
So did you
about.
do like ultrasonic or did you do camera based?
We actually leveraged a different company that does surface mounted sensors on the
Oh,
ground.
NEDAP.
Yeah,
NEDAP.
NEDAP. IB
Nice.
Sins.
They have
Yeah.
great products.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually were able to leverage multiple technologies within the garage itself in order to meet exactly what the customer wanted. I've also
That's what a service company does.
Yeah.
that at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do, is meet our clients' needs. And also got a hospital in Florida. The last thing that people want when they visit a healthcare facility is to worry about parking. There's much more needs on their hands and much more stresses that they're dealing
Parking with so many employees there too. That's like the worst
Well,
place
that's-
for
yeah.
people to like abuse the whatever
and
the parking regulations or rules are.
and the employees are parking in the visitor staff, and
Of course.
and I mean, we were able to leverage technology to make sure that the parking management team knows exactly where their visitors are parking and exactly where their employees are parking.
That's
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, just I'd like to kind of shift gears just a little bit. So you've been in parking for how long? Did you say? 8 months.
8 months, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
8
not a very
weeks,
long
yeah.
time. So where do you think the future of this industry is going? So I mean, you've seen the Ubers and the Lyfts and the Limes and the Birds and all the scooters and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people that think this industry is going to be heavily disrupted over the next, 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
So I'm thinking a little maybe
Yeah,
further
dude.
than that. Something that's nice with parking guidance is when it does go automated at some point, if we do have fully automated cars that are driving themselves, those cars still have to park somewhere. So yeah, the person may not be driving through the garages at that point. They may be getting dropped off right outside the garage, to have quicker access to wherever they're going. But at some point, something's going to need to be in communication with those cars to tell them where to go. They're just going to continue driving around in loops. What are
So
they
the
gonna
car
do?
can't figure it out?
That's what I'm saying. How is that going to happen? And no one's really brought that up, how that's going to tie into everything. So I think that this industry isn't going anywhere anytime in the near future, especially with how slow the automated car is coming along. So,
It's interesting. So I had some buddies that worked for Audi
okay.
that were working on driverless cars, and the amount of computing that had to be on board of the car for it to actually find an open space to park and know that that was actually a valid space to park was pretty ridiculous. Like it would never be a consumer product,
Right.
as long as it had to do that much computing. So what they were hoping is that intelligent infrastructure would come along that would actually start providing that data. So if you could pull into this is kind of part of my whole driverless car thesis too.
Okay.
If you could pull onto a level of a parking facility and just pop out of your car and let it go park itself, at least on a level, I think that's where it starts. And I think parking guidance systems are the systems that provide the data for that, so that makes that possible.
Right. Be in communication with those cars.
Even the ultrasonic system, just to
Right.
be able to communicate, hey, third spotting on the right's available, you should go park there.
And I completely agree, but my question to you is, where do you see the autonomous vehicles really starting to take the nation by storm?
Yeah, I think there's a couple issues out there, right? So at some point, a driverless vehicle, and look, I'm consistent on this, right? I've said this for a while. At some point, a driverless car is going to have to make an ethical decision.
Well,
It's going to have to decide whether it kills its occupants, whether it kills the family walking down the street, or the person in front of them.
and another thing is the weather conditions. Like, where are these? A lot of these are tested.
Let's assume they can solve all that, right? Let's
Okay.
assume that it can be really autonomous, like they figure out all the tech required. At some point, you're going to have to depend on your vehicle
to make it
to make a decision on who to kill.
not tight.
That's kind of
well-
dark. That's kind of
Well,
dark.
but think about it. That's where it
That's
comes from, right? So,
No, I
and then-
completely agree.
And then if I'm sleeping on the way to work in the car, and the car gets in a wreck or something happens, am I really feel responsible for that? What's happened? So the insurance is going to have to actually move over to the car manufacturer to actually provide insurance with the vehicle. Now,
Right.
granted, we all agree that it'll probably be safer. I mean, just hands down, right? It'll probably
Yeah,
be
human error is always.
Yeah,
with
human
everything.
error is
Yeah.
probably always going to be worse than
Right,
that.
right.
Vehicular fatalities will go down the moment this happens. But again,
It's gonna have to make a decision.
legislation, like Congress is going to have to vote on how a vehicle makes a decision on what the least lethal outcome is going to be.
So here's why I'm so bullish on the autonomous vehicle industry.
I love that word recently. It's kind of like a
Bullish.
fresh new word too.
Yeah.
It's like I'm
Steal it,
bullish on
use it.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm bullish. I mean, I have a finance accounting background,
of course.
so when you're bullish on stock, that's just how it goes. So I've kind of roped it into the parking industry. But I've listened to
I think everybody uses that word now. So
I'm nothing special.
I'm bullish. I'm bullish on cornflakes recently.
Cornflakes, man, not that great. But I've sat in a lot of sessions. I've listened to a lot of different people talk, and one of the most glaring statistics that stuck out to me was the adoption rate of electric vehicles. Congress is putting in tax incentives, subsidizing all these deals.
So you got to rewind, man. Like you're young, so you don't get it right on this sort of thing. When in like mid '90s, like when the internet was released and like the personal computer started coming out in like '98, they said that all all sales in general, basically all retail, by like 2005, 2008 was going to be 100% online. Like 90% of what happened. And what are we bumping up against? Like 25, 30% at this point. It's just not happening at the rate people think it will. And there's always this like buzz about it. But you're making a good point. So you're picking up on something that you're seeing, you know, during your lifetime. But you rewind. I mean, what was your first computer? Do you remember? Or you've always had them?
Oh.
Man, I mean, we had desktop.
I feel kind of
can
weak not being able to answer
I
that.
can.
But it's okay, right? It's just
Right,
okay, right?
right.
It's 2019.
You can strictly remember dial-up internet. You know.
Yeah, you can
Like,
remember
I
that.
can
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that.
I remember
I can remember
AOL.
that fine. I mean, I was getting on my instant messenger, and my parents were getting pissed off because, you know, they
You're
couldn't
using
use
too
his
many
cell phone.
minutes,
They
right?
couldn't
Yeah,
use his
yeah.
phone.
Trying to talk with babes.
Yeah,
Online
you know.
all day.
But I mean, the iPhone came out in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff hasn't been around as long as everybody thinks.
Thanks.
So,
No.
but go ahead, electric cars.
No,
I
yeah.
don't want to
just-
disrupt you on
No,
that.
you're good. I mean, it's just the adoption rate of the electric vehicle.
I want an electric car, man. I want horsepower and gas.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I was
No, I
about to
want some
say,
bass.
you kind of pegged me for a Prius guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. But, you know, all these incentives have been pushed out for electric vehicles, but yet the overall user rate of electric vehicles
There's
has
still
been
a range problem too.
Yeah, I agree. It's just been 3% of the vehicles in the United States over the last 4 years has
Does
been
that include hybrids or just pure electric vehicles?
pure electric
Yeah,
vehicles.
that makes sense. I believe that.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody keeps talking about autonomous, and I'm what on it?
Bullish.
Bullish.
Facts.
That's
TG up
cool.
there.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
So-
So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm excited to see where it goes, and I think that it's, you know, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but we're a little bit younger in the industry, and I think we're coming in at a pivotal time where things may change, and I think that all we can do is sit back and kind of take it in and listen to as many people as possible and see where it actually leads to, because I don't think really anybody knows at this point.
So what fresh ideas do you have? You don't have to have an answer, but
Fresh ideas in what sense?
well, in the industry here, you've joined the parking industry. Although it's only been 8 months, you're still trying to learn it.
I think for me, being part of it, and like again, I'm brand new to it, so I think a lot of the.
But you've already sold the job, so you're doing well.
Yeah,
He sold the job.
I'm figuring it out
He
a
sold
little
the
bit. But the app aspect of everything, you know, people like you said, we're all about instant gratification.
Sure.
So if I want to see this now, how can I get this now?
You know, it's interesting on the parking industry. It's not when you look at the volume of transactions that actually occur for parking, and you compare it to, you know, anything else, whether it's text messages, cell phone calls, you know, Amazon spend or whatever, the number of transactions that are actually occurring are
Cash.
pretty small.
Yeah.
So you don't get a lot of development dollars that actually pour into parking to try to solve the problems that it could. But you're right. It's why this industry lags behind a little bit
Absolutely.
when it comes to like app-based stuff. I mean, we were at a parking trade show today, Pi,
Mm-hmm.
and there were really only 3 companies that were talking about cloud-based services, like really pushing it. I mean, when was the last time you guys bought software?
That's what I'm about to say. Yeah, everything I have is on the cloud now. Yeah.
Everything.
Do we
Yeah.
know what the cloud
Everything.
is, though?
Yeah, I think we,
Whoa!
Whoa.
Everybody for a
So you're
second.
gonna have to
Let's hang
explain it
out.
to us now.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not, and I think that's kind of part of the reason why people were
I think there's a big. I think
shared
there's
away
a,
from it.
there's a big misconception between hosted, web-based, and cloud.
Right.
But
right.
it's just a trendy word, and everybody likes to
I'm
cling
sure
on to it.
everyone
and
likes
it's
to go
like-
on to it.
Yeah. So.
Cloud, though, to me is, I think, in the truest form of the definition, it's a single software instance that's multi-tenant. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if you ever used like a Salesforce product.
No,
but
we've experimented
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah,
all.
right?
We're
So-
getting onto
That's a single instance of software that lives in the cloud that's multi-tenant. So that means that thousands of users are using the same instance of software. When they make an update,
Everybody gets it.
everybody gets it. There's a lot of people like playing with hosted these days, which is taking whatever they would normally put on site and then going and sticking it in a data center somewhere.
But it's high recurrent cost too, right?
It's also single tenant, single server, single database offerings. That's what most people are doing at this point.
Cool.
No one's doing multi-tenant yet.
So I will say, going back to what you had just asked Michael, about all this, and he mentioned a little something about apps and stuff. So, I mean, we actually had a friend that died in 2011 from texting and driving. And, tough subject, but,
But there was a point when texting became mainstream.
Huge, yeah.
Where, like, so... Do you remember when we had the phones that actually had real buttons on them?
Shout out T9.
Yeah,
right?
T9, man.
T9
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
And you
Like,
only
I
could
didn't
text
have-
a certain amount of text.
Sure.
Yeah.
I didn't have to look at my phone when I did that.
Yeah.
Like
'Cause you could feel it.
You could do it. You could feel the buttons and
Yeah.
everything. And the first time I got a phone with a touch screen, I was fucking lost.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail your conversation
no,
there.
you're good, man. Because I
But I
completely agree
remember
with
that.
you.
I remember like not being able to drive properly because I was trying to text on this touch screen. And it's like, this isn't safe.
Totally throwing your concentration.
It's
Yeah.
not at all. It's not at all. And I understand the whole mobility concept. And, I think these phone applications that are integrating with parking availability and all those things are fantastic. But I think that the more we continue to give people a reason to be on their phone when they're driving, it makes it unsafe. So I think that for
So this is why I'm bullish on voice.
Voice
Like voice applications in
commands
general.
and whatnot.
The Alexa, anything that I can like do with my voice versus actually having to interact with my mobile device.
Yeah, I mean, so here's a new word for you. Let's go with let's go with contrarian. So I'm a little contrarian to that whole concept, and because I think that, so for me at least, I think that people should be able to arrive to a certain destination and get all the information they need without having to look at a mobile phone. I think the mobile payment applications are great because it's convenient. But in terms of directing people to parking spaces and understanding where to park, I think it's something that's great just to have on site.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with that at all. But I do think that those voice services
Yeah.
are going to migrate into the vehicle. I mean, they should.
Yeah, I hope so.
In what instances do you?
I think Alexa's going to be available in your car.
Is she gonna have a different name?
Yeah, whatever it is. I think Google Home's
We
going to
can
be
name
available
her.
in your car. I think all those voice services that you're using today, Apple,
And
Google, Alexa.
It's already kind of getting there.
Well, it is.
Bit.
They're already
Yeah,
starting. There's
you
a few
know.
vehicles that are doing it today. And then the next, like, app store, like Apple developed, is going to be on voice. And it's going to be on one of those platforms, if not multiple, Android and Apple or whatever it comes out being. But the next green field for the app store is all in voice.
So you're saying essentially there'd be no use of actually having a handheld.
I'd say there'd be limited use when you're driving. Like, you're able to do everything you need to do from the vehicle. If I'm sitting at home and I decide that I want to go to the restaurant tonight, it's like, hey, whatever.
Make a reservation.
I want to go eat. I want Chinese food tonight. I need parking. Go sort it out for me.
Right. Yeah.
All right, make me a reservation. Reserve my parking. I'm willing to walk up to 500 yards. Find me the cheapest parking that you can find.
Interesting. Yeah, this has. I don't think I've never gone this route
Yeah.
before. So
You've honestly brought up a lot of things
Yeah.
tonight that I haven't heard before. So
No,
we
it's good.
appreciate
Again,
you having us
yes,
on
that's
here.
what we're saying.
Well, this is Parker X. We're supposed to talk about.
No,
all
I
kinds
know
of
this is,
crazy
but this is the
stuff.
stuff that us being new, we're always interested in. Taking bits and pieces from people.
Listen,
so.
I mean, did you listen to a podcast 5 years ago?
No.
Do I listen to it pretty much every day now?
Yeah, it's because
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Why it is, right? Because it's a passive thing you can do. You're able to multitask with voice. Like, you can't do that with pretty much anything else.
Yeah, it's like we mentioned, prior to, is even the audio. People who listen to audiobooks and whatnot, you do so because it's convenient and easy, and you can do something else while you're listening.
Exactly.
So, absolutely.
Two birds, one stone.
Yeah. So
My phone's ringing.
I know. I don't know if it.
I don't know if it
does
can hear it
picks
or not.
up?
Though,
I don't.
yeah.
I don't, I don't think it picks it
probably
up.
is.
So. That's funny.
Cool. Well, hey, look, I really appreciate you guys coming by the show. Any final thoughts?
I mean, not many. I mean, to those that are listening, I guess. I mean, me and Michael are both more than happy to meet you guys. We're trying to meet as many people as possible in the industry. I think that everybody has a lot of experience, a lot of good things to offer. And I think that just being younger and coming into it with a fresh thought, I think that being open to these kind of ideas is pivotal for our success. So we'd appreciate it if you introduce yourself.
So what area do you cover for parking guidance systems?
So I'm Texas up to Oklahoma, over to North Carolina, and down to Georgia.
So how does somebody reach out to you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
My Twitter is yeah, I mean, reach out to me on LinkedIn, Dylan Prep, DYLAN PREP. And I can also give you my contact information.
You got an email address?
Yeah, Dylan at parkingguidancesystems.com. Should I drop the cell phone on there? Is that too much?
I think that's probably.
Okay.
We'll leave it
Yeah,
to you now. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, and I'm in Florida, so I'm just doing Florida. Florida's kind of booming right
Like
now.
just
with
the state of
development.
Florida?
Just the state of Florida. So
You're not messing around in Georgia at all?
I might dabble a little bit, but no, mainly Florida. So I'll be
Okay.
down there. And same thing, I'm M. Warren at parkingguidancesystems.com or on LinkedIn at Michael Warren. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining the show, guys.
Hey,
Yeah,
we appreciate
Lester,
you having
yeah.
us on, man. You're doing great things.
Yeah,
Right
Parker
on.
X, man. Appreciate
Parker
it.
X.
It's going to go big.
Yeah, let's do it.
Later. Hey, so thank you very much for listening. If you made it through this far, I really appreciate it. We're very excited to be bringing this to the industry. There's not really anything else like it. Once again, this is Lester Mascon. Name of the podcast is Parker X. Please like it. Please share it. That means the world. Please share it and rate it and tell us what you think of the show. We're going to try to keep doing a bunch of these, and your comments and feedback's really important. Also, if anyone else would like to be on the show, please drop me a line, and we'll be happy to get something put together. Thanks.